There are many stages to creating a game, but the most important part is deciding where to start. Hi, I'm Georgi, I'm a game designer, and I will teach you how to make a game. The most important thing is to set your expectations correctly. Your first game is not going to look great. It will not be something like this, but instead something like this. But that's not bad, that's a start. Everyone started somewhere. Witcher 3 was not created in MS Paint from scratch. So set your expectations correctly and work on something that you are more likely to achieve. After setting your expectations, you have to figure out what is your core concept. What is the main element that will make your game enjoyable and fun. And after you figure that out, that brings us to the next step, the game design document, which you have to write. And it will take a lot of work, but it will be worth it, because you will spend more time making the game instead of thinking on how to make it. Now, writing is all cool, but you need to do a lot of things. So that's why you need the right team. You don't need a team that looks like this. You need people of different skill sets and different strengths. You need someone to do the art, to do the animation, the programming, the user interface, sound, and all of that. And I know that's a lot of people for an indie team, but you need at least 3: a programmer, an animator, and a sound designer. After setting your expectations, it's important to define your priorities. What is the main strength of your game? If you look at this game, you will notice the beautiful architecture, the beautiful combat, and all of which won Game of the Year. But you don't have 500 people. But here is a game made by 3 people, and they still won many awards and went to generate many sales. And that's because they understood their priorities. Superhot is a game that focuses on their game mechanics and is achievable by a small team. Here's another example. This is a game called In Silence. They focused on their core concept, which is playing in silence. And that's what gave them their success. So define your priorities, write them down, and follow them. The strength of the team is each member. The strength of each member is the team. Make sure that you can rely on your team members and your team members can rely on you. It's the only way that you can guarantee your success. Also, remember that in indie games, most likely you should be like family to each other, because the success of the project weighs on your shoulders. Make sure to communicate with the team, with your customers, and with the players, because a delayed game is eventually good, but a bad game, when it's rushed, is always bad. So make sure to identify your core concepts, communicate them with the team, and communicate the values of your game to the players. Now, after doing all of that, you have to create your first prototype. Now, your first prototype is not something that's nearly finished. It's something like this. Your first prototype is the maximum of the minimum. Do as much as you can with what you have. Try out your game, test your concepts, gather a lot of feedback, and maybe, just maybe, you will change into a concept that is much better than yours. But make sure to take all advice with a grain of salt, because sometimes you're not talking to the right person. So yeah, that's up to you. Now this is a very tiring process. It's called the timeline. As you see, you will need a lot of time just to get your game into a playable state. But that's not something to be afraid of. Instead, that's a challenge for you. So take a look at the timeline, try to make something like that for your project, and get to work. Now, if you make a game, publish it, and put it on a shelf, no one is going to play it. That's why you have to let people know that you're making a game. And that process can start as early as writing your game design document. Or that's too early. Make sure to communicate the information about your game even before you reach the alpha. When you have things going on, when you're testing things and concepts, make sure to communicate with your users. That way, when your game actually comes out, people will be waiting for it. Create teasers, trailers, development updates, and all of that to make people hyped about your game. Creating a Steam page for someone to wishlist is one of the easiest things to do. Also, you can use this website to post your game for free. Now, this game right here, called Mug, was created by a YouTuber, a single developer, and it gained a lot of traction. It's one of the biggest games made by an indie developer, and that's because he communicated with his players. Take a look at his channel, maybe you will learn a thing or two about communicating with your players and letting them know what you're creating. Now here's a quick exercise for you. If you want to start working on a game, this will take you about 30 minutes and maybe you will come up with a great concept. The image will appear right here. Now that's a quick thesis you can use to describe your game and put it into an example. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and make sure to subscribe. Goodbye, I'm Georgi from Arena Games and I'll see you here on the next video.